This week, the battle over voting rights in Texas heats up as we'll see the first major vote on proposals introduced by Republican lawmakers. Over the weekend, two bills moved a step closer to becoming law, both passing committee along party lines. That followed nearly 24 hours of testimony and debate where hundreds of Texans showed up to testify, giving their statements late into the night. Let's bring in NBC News senior reporter Jane Timm for more. Jane, good morning. So first, just recap this weekend for us. What did we see at the Texas Capitol building?
Good morning. It was a frenzied weekend with two rival hearings going on in different parts of the state legislature. So you had that 24-hour hearing that started about 8 a.m. local, and the vote didn't take place till close to 7 a.m. Or just after 7 a.m., I think, local time, pushing that bill through. Public testimony was happening in the wee hours of the morning. And the voters who showed up and the advocates who showed up had to sign up well in advance of those or early hour testimony, signing up, being there really since the beginning of the hearing to even get a shot to raise their voices. In the Senate, we also had one that started 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturday, and they adjourned way overnight in early hours of Sunday, and then came back and pushed the bill through on Sunday afternoon with a handful of amendments. Really heated testimony. A lot of voters coming out and saying, look, this is going to make it so hard. I was really struck by the number of disabled voters who came out and said, look, things like showing up here is very difficult for me. And you're making voting even more difficult as well.
Now, Jane, tomorrow we could start seeing this wider voting on these two bills. Let's talk about that in just a minute. But first, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke had this to say about the bills just hours before he was set to testify.
We need to stop this effort to change or tamper our elections now before it goes any further. And then ultimately, we need the United States Senate to act. The only way that you stop voter suppression in Texas and Georgia and Florida and in so many other parts of the country is by having federal intervention to protect the right to vote. If they need to break quorum again and take the fight all the way to the steps of the Capitol in Washington, D.C., then they should do that. But this is make or break. This is literally existential for American democracy.
And now, Jane, President Biden is expected to address voting rights tomorrow. So what can we expect to hear? Will his speech potentially make any difference in Texas? And what is this voting process going to look like?
Yeah, Democrats in Texas know that they really don't have a whole lot of options. They can delay and they can delay, and maybe they can defeat it for this special session, but the governor can just call another special session and bring them back to Austin. They really want federal voting legislation. They were in Washington meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris a few weeks ago, and Biden's expected to try and take a really strong stand on this. Voting rights is important to him, and he took a back seat in the federal voting rights legislation fight. So look to see him take a stronger stand.
All right. And we heard Beto O'Rourke, they're mentioning breaking quorum. A reminder, Democrats walked out in May temporarily to halt this. So we will watch and see what happens. Jane Timm, thank you so much.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.